Welcome to the Marketing Spotlight, where we share the career journeys of Michigan State University marketing alumni. I'm your host, Katie Sadler, and today with us, we have Andrea Saieh. Andrea graduated from MSU in 2009 with a major in marketing and a focus in entrepreneurship. In 2011, she obtained a degree from the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, and later supplemented that degree with a bachelor's degree in fashion design with a focus in footwear and sustainability from Parsons School of Design. Andrea has become a very accomplished designer and actually founded her own lifestyle luxe contemporary brand in 2018 that is now based in Colombia. Andrea, thank you for joining us and welcome to the Marketing Spotlight.
Thank you, Katie. I'm very happy to be here.
We're happy to have you with us today. Andrea, you have a really interesting background that we want to dive into. We've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs on the podcast, but I think you're the first one that we've talked to that's really focused on fashion and design. So can you tell us a little bit about your career from marketing into fashion and what that's looked like for you over the years?
It has definitely been a wild ride with a lot of unexpected turns. To be honest with you, the whole marketing thing was something unexpected in my life because I always wanted to be a designer since I was a kid. I've always been into art and everything. And I guess I was born in a generation where parents really supported the traditional route in the career path. My parents were like, you should really study business so that you understand it for whenever you want to design. I decided to go straight to fashion school right after graduating from MSU in marketing. And like you said, I went to LA and I got an associate's degree over there in fashion design from Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. It was a great experience because it was a school that was very focused on the technical part of fashion. So I got immersed in learning how to sew, learning how to do pattern making, learning everything about production, fabrics. It was great because I went from 100% business to 100% hands-on fashion. It was a great experience. I got to learn a lot about the industry. LA is one of the 3 big cities in the US for fashion, and went to school, got immersed in fashion, got my first experiences in design over there. Back then, I thought I wanted to do bridal and haute couture because I really enjoyed the hands-on and making people feel special. After this, I wanted to move to New York, but life happened and I had to stay in Miami for a little bit. While in Miami, I decided to get a job in retail because one thing about fashion school is it was so focused in design. But because I had my background in business, I always felt the need to know your customer, know your product, what you're going to sell, who you're going to sell to. I always thought, I really should get a job in sales. I should sell clothes to really understand who I'm selling to and understand my customers. So I did that. And I got a job at a Diane von Furstenberg boutique in Bal Harbour, it was an amazing experience because first off, you get your people skills. You learn how to treat your customer. And I think with fashion, it's so important because clothes are an expression of yourself. A lot of people see it like that. Some people are just like, oh, I'll just throw on whatever. But it ends up really affecting the way you feel and how you look. It's so important. I feel like working in sales in fashion really helped me understand what I was dealing with. That experience was invaluable. I would say that was the best experience I had in the fashion industry, working retail in the Diane von Furstenberg boutique in Bal Harbour.
But it sounds like that experience connected your marketing degree and your fashion degree more tangibly, right? That really put into perspective, taking the back end of marketing and then the front end of design and bringing it together in the way that the consumer is going to see it and how they're going to interact with a potential brand in the future.
Definitely, because everything you learn in marketing, like consumer behavior, for example, it's consumer behavior, flesh and bone, but it's not until you actually interact with people. The cool thing about MSU as well, when I was there, was the electives in marketing. They're very diverse. When I was at MSU, I got to take intro to retail, touch on a little about consumer behavior towards the retail part. It was great seeing how my 2 degrees were coming together in this job.
So you did retail in Miami and then fast forward, you moved to New York.
Yes, I finally moved to New York and I got an internship in design over there at a well-known brand, Marchesa. They do a lot of celebrity gowns, night dresses, and all haute couture. But then when I was talking to them, they saw me that I was like very ambitious. I was like very dedicated to like make it happen in fashion. And recommend that you go back to school and like do the whole fashion thing, like really learn the whole aspect of it, the creative part, how to develop a collection, how to like so then in the future you can be a creative director. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. I'll go back to so I went back to school at Parsons in New York, the whole path and everything adding up. So I had the business, then I had the technical part of fashion, and then Parsons gave me the creative part. So in Parsons, I really learned how to be a designer, like how to bring out the creative, what I had inside of me, just like to bring that out, to understand my sensibilities, what I connected with, what I wanted to do as a designer. While I was here, I also realized, well, I wanted to do bridal to help people make them feel more special. But with ready to wear, I can reach out more people and help more people feel special. So that's when I kind of switched into ready to wear during my first years there. In the end, I kind of really fell in love with footwear design. I ended up creating a portfolio in footwear, which then my marketing degree also came back because my thesis was actually developing a new way to manufacture footwear. The fact that I studied marketing with that focus on entrepreneurship at the beginning always made me think of what I was selling to who throughout all the years of my career. So to me, it was always important to know, like, okay, is what I'm doing going to be helpful to someone? What am I creating? Like, who needs it? Who's going to buy it? I definitely think that marketing has made me the designer that I am today.
So it sounds like
Because
marketing has like helped you keep the consumer at the center of everything that you're doing and help you like focus in on who is your target market and what are going to be their perceptions around the clothes and the designs that you're creating, and that's shaped who you are as a designer. Is that fair?
yeah, definitely. 100%. And to make sure that what I do matters to someone. And I remember there's this teacher that I remember dearly from Michigan State, Intro to Marketing, Dr. Carroll. I remember his class because he's always inspiring us to like, don't go out there to the world and sell insignificant things. Give people something they need. And he was so passionate about teaching us about this that I feel like that just got ingrained in my brains. I always try to make sure that I was doing something that mattered. And I think that's why Parsons, I kind of like drifted because I was like, I want to do more than making something pretty. I want to make sure that what I do matters, which is something that I learned at MSU. So I feel like it's not just the customer, but the fact that I feel like at MSU, we were always inspired and a lot of successful alumni creating companies that matter, that are doing something that matter, that are helping others.
I agree. I think that there are a lot of Spartans making a huge difference out in the world, and a lot of them starting their own companies, as you were saying, you
Yeah.
being one. So, kind of at this point in your career path, you have 2 bachelor's degrees, you have an associate degree, and then in 2018, you actually started your own company. So, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do as the founder of a company?
Yes. So I started my company in 2018, and taking from what I was saying earlier, I definitely wanted to develop products that matter, that could change people's lives. And that's what I try to do with my clothes. Like I like to create clothes that make women feel empowered, that make them feel secure and confident and make them feel fearless. And that's actually my logo. So I have a triangular logo and it stands for the strength created through balance. And the whole idea is that we should all be able to be different. Our individuality makes us strong together as a society. And I like to communicate that in my brand. I think that definitely it's like a culmination of all the degrees of like everything that I've learned, like I was saying earlier. Other than the creative at developing a brand identity, which is extremely important these days, at the moment, I pretty much do everything. I started the company 2 years ago. It's still a baby. It's based out of Bogota, right now in Colombia. I design the collection, I overview production. I obviously don't sew the clothes because if I did, I wouldn't have time to do anything else. I have 2 factories working with me right now, outsourced. Then I also run sales, strategies, marketing strategies, everything. And when I was at MSU and we had entrepreneurs come in and talk, they were always like, 2 things you have to know. It's always going to be harder than you think. You're always going to need more money than you think. And it's always going to take more time than you think. And now that I've experienced it, I have to say, I agree. Starting a business is pretty hard. Another true thing is that a lot of businesses don't make it after the third year.
That's awesome. I can't imagine the amount of heart and time and passion that has to go into starting your own company. And you're doing it in Colombia, correct?
Yes. Which
So
is where I'm originally from, even though my whole career was in the US.
So you're originally from Colombia and you were an international student while you were at MSU. So what was that experience like for you?
It was a lot of work because obviously I came from a bilingual school, but starting off in college, it was like 100% English, everything. And there's like a lot of vocabulary that you're not familiar with things. So like, in a way, I feel like I did have to work twice as hard as an American student because of the language barriers and getting used to it. It was amazing getting immersed into a whole new culture at MSU. It was great. The tailgates, the football games, like all these things that we don't have in Colombia. That was fun. And getting to know people from all around the world because MSU is a great international hub. And we were talking about how hard it was with the internship thing, the work, the visas. That was always a nightmare, the whole visas. Because a lot of international students were like born in the US, but I was the one that wasn't. I was born in Colombia. So I was on a student visa, and I'm sure if there are international students listening, you all can relate. It's hard. It's not easy. But, there's ways around it. I feel like I wish when I was at school, someone would have told me to like go look for jobs in other countries because the US values diversity so much that eventually if you want to get a full-time job in the US, you should intern abroad. It's a great idea. I never thought of it. I was so focused on I have to get an internship in the US. And that didn't happen because it's hard. It's hard. And companies have rules that they can't bend. I think that would be like an advice that I would give international students at MSU nowadays. Like, go out there, look for internships in other countries, like get the experience, get the abroad experience in Europe or other countries in Latin America or Asia and everywhere else that I didn't mention. I definitely would recommend that, but it was an amazing experience. I think that at MSU, at the school, there's like equal opportunities for everyone, no matter where you're from. I got to start an organization while I was there, and with my American friends, you can do anything. It's a college full of opportunities. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and Andrea, you started the Entrepreneurship Association, which is still going strong at MSU today. That's pretty cool to have left your mark in that way.
And back then it was all very new. And I remember we started doing like pitch competitions and we had amazing like MSU alumni come in to speak. We had Mary Ellen Sheets from 2 Men in a Truck. It was just very inspiring to see, to hear success stories from their alumni.
Do you feel like your experience with learning more about entrepreneurship at MSU contributed to you wanting to start your own fashion line, or did you always know that you wanted to run your own company?
I always knew that I wanted to run my own company, but I think that creating that organization and being part of it started to understand what it actually meant. Like, for example, like the advice that I said, like, that I always kept hearing, like, there's not enough time, not enough money, not enough, like all those things. I learned them through when we started the organization back then. And, we had all these speakers and they taught us all these things. And I remember there was like a mentorship program so we could get paired up with like people of similar backgrounds than what we wanted
Yeah.
to do.
That's like the power of going to a school like MSU, of having that huge alumni network of people that you can reach out to and learn from and kind of build additional experiences off of. So that's awesome that you've been able to kind of carry that with you throughout your career.
Because one thing is what you learn in school, but then it's actually hearing the person that did it. Like everything. I mean, you learn the basics in school, but real life is like a whole other monster. Like real life is the problems that happen that they didn't teach you at school that were going to happen. The actual like running out of money in your company and then being like, what am I going to do to survive right now? Like, how should I be creative? And I think that was great about starting the organization, is that we got that supplement of like actual real life experience with what we're learning. And I think it's just great to listen to what other people are doing and to get an insight on what actually happens out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrea, one final question for you. Do you have any extra advice that you want to give MSU marketing students?
One thing that I would say is to never stop, because when you're 18 and you're just starting out, or 20, 21, you're very confused with what you want to do. And that's normal, totally normal. But what's important is that you don't stop, you don't stop learning, you don't stop talking to people, you don't stop getting experiences, because that's what's going to shape you. Think that it doesn't matter that you switch from one thing to another. It's definitely important that you find the path that you want to follow, because once you set up a goal, it's easier to achieve that goal once you have the path. But at the beginning, it's important that you don't stop getting experiences, talking to people, and doing things that really give you an insight into what you want to do. Because I think that really helped me, that I was always getting involved in everything and like listening to people and like trying to find different experiences, because that'll shape you into what you will eventually become, I think, whether it's a job in marketing or whether it's starting a company or going to law school or doing whatever. I think it's important to not stop and enjoy it.
I think that's important, just to remind students, like, enjoy it while you're there, because you're only going to be there once.
But try to enjoy it. Exactly. Like enjoy it and learn as much as you can. I mean, because you're never going to get the opportunity to be in such a big campus with the possibility to do anything, like taking classes from like other majors.
Agreed. Awesome. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for joining us today. We've really appreciated having you on the podcast. And for any of our listeners who are interested in connecting with Andrea, you can find her on LinkedIn or through her business. You can email her at designer@andreasaieh.com.
Thank you, Katie. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. So thanks so much for being here with us today. And for all of our listeners, make sure you check out our other episodes of the Marketing Spotlight to see where MSU grads are now. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, or YouTube, and we'll see you next time.